State of Texas versus Adrian Gonzales. In each of the 29 counts, we, the jury, find the defendant, Adrian Gonzales, not guilty.
Breaking news tonight, a jury has found former Uvalde CISD officer Adrian Gonzales not guilty.
Gonzales was facing 29 counts of child endangerment and abandonment in connection to the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary that killed 19 students and 2 teachers. The jury spent about 7 hours deliberating today.
Joining us now is senior reporter Tony Plahetsky. He has been following this trial every step of the way.
You know, Tony, this really could have gone either way. No one knew what to expect from the jury going into this.
Well, and candidly, you never do with a jury. But I do want to say that going into this trial, so many legal experts said that this would really be a tough case, especially for the prosecution, because frankly, many of the experts we talked to in the days leading up to opening statements said that the law was on Officer Adrian Gonzales' side. But the defense would have to convince jurors to try as best as they possibly could to strip out the emotions of this case and focus on the law itself, which again, they say really gave Officer Gonzales an advantage going into the trial.
Well, what will this verdict mean for the trial against former Uvalde CISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo? I know he's facing a number of felony child endangerment charges as well.
And keep in mind, his name was so tied to the flawed law enforcement response that terrible day. But rest assured, prosecutors are going to have to regroup after this case. I do want to make it clear that Officer Adrian Gonzales and former Police Chief Pete Arredondo are not similarly situated in terms of their actions that day. They both performed very different roles. They did different things. They had different responsibilities. So in that case, the cases are different against them. But at the same time, prosecutors are going to have to potentially listen to feedback if they were able to talk to some of the jurors about their perceptions of this case. And then if they were able to have those conversations, they can then incorporate that into the case going forward against former Police Chief Pete Arredondo. Keep in mind, though, there is no setting for when that trial could possibly go to a jury.
So much reaction coming out of this tonight, Tony.
That's right. We've just heard from families who were there in the courtroom tonight. Brett Cross, who lost his son in the shooting, says his fight for justice is not over.
Yeah, we won't stop. Our babies deserve justice. This could have been a step towards that justice and accountability, but once again, Texas failed us. But it doesn't stop the fight, because my son deserved that. Uzziah deserved that. All 19 children, the 2 teachers, all of the children that were injured, they all deserve us to keep fighting. So I won't stop.
Of course, we heard from a lot of the teachers in this trial, too. You were talking about stripping away some of the emotion. That was the best route for the defense there. Well, just a short time ago, we actually heard from Adrian Gonzales and his attorneys. They spoke with reporters outside the courthouse. Gonzales thanked the jury for their verdict. Let's listen.
First things first, I want to start by thanking God for this. My family, my wife, and these guys are here. He put them in my path, you know. And I'm just thankful for that. And thank you for the jury for considering all the evidence and making that verdict.
Is there anything you want to say to the families?
No, not right now.
Now, Gonzales and Arredondo were the only 2 responding officers that day to face any charges. And Arredondo's trial, Tony, as you said, has not yet been set. And our coverage of tonight's verdict will continue on KVUE Plus and tomorrow on Daybreak. Senior reporter Tony Plahetsky, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.